Welcome back to Awkward Insurance. For this episode, Awkward was on the road to the Arkansas Insurance Department's 2024 Insurance Day, the first Arkansas I-Day in what I believe was somewhere around 20 years or so, but don't quote me on that and forgive me if I'm wrong. Arkansas I-Day presented sessions like surplus lines compliance, landscape of personal lines marketplace, the ABCs of the NAIC, reducing risk through resiliency, cybersecurity, and threat awareness from an Arkansas FBI agent, and you don't want to miss her insights in this episode. Also, UCA's risk management and insurance program, generational insights on client needs, a commissioner's perspective panel from Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And I capped with a session on leaving a career legacy by inspiring the next generation of leaders. I wish I'd had enough time to interview them all, as each topic was so diverse from the other. Alas, not having enough time in the world, we kicked off our efforts at Arkansas I-Day, of course wanting to know what Commissioner McLean's vision was, and I think it was only fitting that we heard next from UCA insurance and risk management student Connor Black about his vision for engagement opportunities in the industry, starting at I-Day. Let's listen in. Awkward Insurance is at Arkansas I-Day, which is super special to me because I'm from Arkansas, born, bred, and been here my entire life. So I was very excited and humbled when you asked me to be a speaker, and even more excited when I got to bring Awkward Insurance to the event as well and kind of interview amongst my peers. So Commissioner McLean, welcome back to Awkward Insurance. Thanks so much for being here.
Certainly. It's my pleasure to be here, and we appreciate you being here and bringing your podcast here and speaking to our group as our keynote later in the conference. I think the insights you will bring and will be really valuable to our membership. And so we're just really excited about having I-Day again in Arkansas. It actually has been done before in Arkansas, but it's been a number of years and not many people actually remember it. I actually did go to it as an attendee years ago. So it's something that we're happy about, and a little bit nervous on the outset because we haven't done it in a while, but so far everything is rocking along today, so we're pretty pleased.
Yeah, that kind of leads us into what do you think is or not think, because it was important to you. So what was the importance of restarting Arkansas I-Day?
I've had the pleasure of attending some I-Days in some surrounding states. I've been on a commissioner panel in Missouri and two different ones in Mississippi and also in Louisiana. And I have seen the value of those meetings and watched the dynamic, not just the commissioner panels that I've been on, and those are good, but just to see the insurance communities in those particular states rally around an event and come to get not only some continuing education that is required, but also to network and to just learn more about some of the breaking issues in insurance. And there's plenty.
A lot of breaking issues in insurance right now.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, we're recording during one of the sessions that I really wanted to listen to, which is the state of the personal lines market, because that's a huge interest to me. And I'm glad you brought up the sessions. That kind of leads me to the question of what's the vision behind the sessions you curated? I just listened to one that was on surplus lines. We've got personal lines. There's some cyber, reinsurance. What was your vision behind these topics?
Yeah, and all of the topics didn't necessarily connect together, but in a sort of a big way they do. But each of them, I think, have a fair amount of visibility in the marketplace, whether it is surplus lines or in the role they're playing, particularly in this hard homeowners market that we have and hard property market. So it's gotten a lot more visibility in that. And then, of course, what they're talking about now is just with the personal lines insurance, and we get calls all the time at our department, about concerns with the personal lines, and so whether it's auto or home or other things. So as we start putting together the program, we kind of just look through our collective
your call log,
and talk to our teams. Where are some of the pain points? Where are some of the things that we need to make sure we address as an industry, so that we're addressing them as regulators, because as agents, as producers, as company people, because that's typically who would come to this event. And as my staff can interact with the other stakeholders, and we know better how how we can be better regulators and better serve the consumers because we're all insurance consumers. We all are feeling the pains of the market, and so I think when we can get together and not only hear some download of information, we can also have talk in the hall and talk around the coffee pot about what you're seeing in the market.
Yeah. So tell me, how much did your homeowner's insurance go up this year?
Yeah, it went up. It definitely did, and it. You know, when my carrier came through for a rate increase, I had to tell my staff that just take care of it. I know we got to do it.
Nice.
So
Awesome. What do you hope attendees take away from Arkansas I Day and your vision around getting it restarted?
we geared it toward Arkansas stakeholders, and so we have obviously a lot of Arkansas located people here, but we also have a number of stakeholders who serve Arkansas from the industry who perhaps
Surrounding
don't
states,
don't
yeah.
live here, but have a real vested interest in how our market is doing. So you always hope that you can come to something like this, and it's a little bit of group therapy in a way because you realize you're not
I like that.
you're not in this alone, and and what you're experiencing in whatever sector you're in is not not just unique struggle to you, but other people are dealing with similar things, and it's just affirming that that's the case, and you can share ideas.
Yeah. I have one final question. There's a lot of other state insurance commissioners in this room today. How'd you get all of them in one spot?
Well, we work together a lot through the NAIC, and the particular commissioners that are here, I serve with in the southeastern zone, so we see each other just a little bit more. I've been to their insurance days as well,
So this
and
is
served on
this
their
is a
panels.
favor
So
that's been
it was a
pulled.
little bit hard for them to tell me no, thankfully, and at least for once. And so I am honored to have them here. They bring a wealth of experience. I've got the Mississippi Commissioner Mike Cheney, who's elected in Mississippi, and I'm thankful that I'm not elected. But he is and brings a wealth of experience. Newly elected Commissioner Tim Temple from Louisiana is here,
Mhm,
and also Commissioner Mark Fowler from Alabama.
mhm.
And I've worked closely with them, but as good of friends as they are to me, and good as and mentors as they are, they also have experienced a lot of market shifts along their in their states. They all have a unique coastal exposure. They've all dealt with hurricane exposure and hard insurance markets and insurance companies leaving their states and efforts to keep them there or bring them back. And so that's a real important aspect of my job is making sure that insurance companies stay in Arkansas and that their coverage is available and also reasonably affordable as well. So selfishly, these commissioners in their states have walked through that just a little bit as they've dealt with hurricanes and coastal exposures. And as we've in Arkansas and have dealt now more with severe convective storms, we're running into some of the same type of exposures that they can help me with. So I'm glad to have them here and steal their ideas.
Fantastic. Thanks once again for sitting down with me.
Of course.
Again, I hope it's not the last time because you just have so many insights. Thanks so much,
All right.
Commissioner McLean.
My pleasure.
I'm sitting down with Connor Black. He is from El Dorado, Arkansas, and he is an insurance and risk management student at the University of Central Arkansas. I'm so excited to have him today. We are at Arkansas I Day, and we are hearing lots of amazing sessions. Connor, I just spoke to the Arkansas Insurance Commissioner, Alan McLean, and he is really wanting to increase some engagement with emerging professionals like yourself who are interested in the insurance and risk management space. So I have a very important question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. How do you think the insurance industry can better engage with young talent like yourself and prepare them to be the next generation of leaders?
That's a great question. I think that if they would like come in our classes and like pull us out and maybe get like firsthand experience of, for example, like a producer like meeting with a client or something like that, maybe we can sit in and like see how that goes and see if someone like likes it.
Yeah. So they could sit and you could follow some. I actually had somebody do that really early in my career. I love staying on the personal lines customer service side of things, which obviously does sales too, because we've got, they purchase a new home or a new car. We've got to add a boat line, stuff like that. But I had a producer pull me out once because they were really trying to push me to get outside the office. So I went to a sales meeting with him and I immediately decided I didn't want to do it. So getting that firsthand experience really is interesting. What are some of the ways that either Ivan Hudson, the director over the insurance and risk management program, or your instructors, what are some of the ways that they currently engage you at UCA or your class?
I'm in GIS.
So Gamma Iota Sigma. Okay.
Right. And Ivan will bring in like different speakers and stuff, and they'll talk to us, and then we have like career fairs and stuff like that, and really just he helps us build like our network.
Nice. You mentioned that Ivan and UCA will bring in different speakers. Who's been your favorite speaker so far or favorite topic?
My favorite topic has been he brought in a speaker last spring, and she was a part of the Hurricane Katrina risk management team,
Mm-hmm.
and she talked about like what could have been done better,
Mm-hmm.
and she like told us a story about the hospital and the power went out in it,
Sure.
and like they had to carry all the patients like upstairs by hand because like the elevators wouldn't work, and I think the generator went out maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and they were having to like fly all these people out.
Interesting. Before you heard her talk about Hurricane Katrina from a risk management perspective, is what it sounds like.
Mhm.
What do you think about hurricanes before that? Were you just thinking wind, flood,
Right.
some house damage? You didn't think about all the other stuff about evacuations and
Yeah, that was a big thing that she hit on was like the evacuation stuff and like all the people stranded like on the streets.
Mm.
And then like you got to think about too like all the like robberies and people's stuff getting stolen and stuff like that. But I mean, I didn't think about that whenever I first heard about it.
So very engaging speakers are what our emerging professionals need. Somebody who's more versed than just coming in and saying insurance is fun. Hurrah.
Right.
Connor, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
I completely enjoyed my conversation with Commissioner McLean and the UCA student. Well, he was kind of adorable and a little nervous, but he had some great insights as well. Our last two guests to highlight were both entertaining and intriguing for me. First is Lee Covington. From Lee, we captured digestible reinsurance nuggets as well as how he would create Lee Covington 2.0. Following Lee, you'll hear from FBI Supervisory Special Agent Tanya Sablatora, who supervises the cyber program for the state of Arkansas. Not only did she crack a phenomenal miscongeniality joke, but she delivered a session that had everyone changing their passwords on the spot. I'm excited for our listeners to gain some insights from her, as well as find out if you have what it takes to be an FBI agent. Let's listen in. I am here with Lee Covington, president of Reinsurance Association of America. We are at Arkansas I-Day. You are a speaker here, and you'll be presenting on Reinsurance 101, the basics. Did I get that right?
You got it right, Dustin.
Super simple.
We cover some other topics as well. So,
Is it going to be 102?
well, it's going to be 101, just kind of the basics of, why insurers buy reinsurance, all the reasons they buy reinsurance, kind of the financial results over the past 5 years for the primary insurance industry and key cost drivers in rising premium costs, as well as the impact of reinsurance on in policyholder premiums.
Fantastic. What is your role within the reinsurance market?
Yeah, the Reinsurance Association of America represents reinsurers doing business in the United States. We advocate on behalf of our members before Congress, the President's administration, and state regulators and legislators all across the country on good public policy that ultimately benefits the American citizens.
And what about you in particular? What's a day in the life of Lee Covington look like?
Oh, the day in the life of Lee Covington. So I'm president and CEO. So I am responsible for the overall strategic direction of the organization, working with our board of directors, and in a simple way to say it is execution on that strategic direction.
Oh, so we're talking about carrying something out, not completely executing. I got it. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's a sidebar.
Yeah.
All right. You sound really not knowledgeable in the reinsurance area. I not so much. So explain reinsurance. Why is it important to the insurance industry? And maybe explain it to me like I'm 10.
Yeah, in its simplest form, reinsurance is insurance for insurance companies. But it's more than that as well. Reinsurance provides capital relief. So any business that's in business has to have funding, right? And so reinsurance is a form of capital. It's the cheapest form of capital. You got equity capital. You think about stocks. You think about debt, which would be bonds. Well, reinsurance is a form of capital that is the cheapest form of capital for insurance companies, and it allows them to smooth their financial results, to grow financially, provides capacity for them to write more business. So those two aspects of it, insurance for insurance companies and capital, which I always say capital just means money to support your business, right?
Mhm.
And probably the thing that most of your listeners will relate to would be in a situation when I talk about catastrophe protection. So you take a state like Florida or even Arkansas that has tornadoes.
You don't have to go
Arkansas,
to Florida to have a catastrophe.
you don't. Arkansas has experienced five $1 billion natural disasters on average over the
Mm.
past 5 years, compared to the previous period, 2.5. So what happens there is that the insurance company, the primary insurance company that most people know, they know who their insurance company is or their
Sure.
insurance agent. Well, they will cover the loss in the aggregate up to a certain amount, maybe like something that would equal a 250-year loss. And above that amount, the reinsurer comes in and covers that.
Mhm.
So that allows the primary company to charge less for premiums to the policyholder because the reinsurer is covering that catastrophe risk.
Mhm. I have a question. This one's a little not on my sheet, and you brought it up, so I have it here. What role is reinsurance playing in the increasing cost of insurance?
Oh, very little. It has a de minimis impact, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow because there
Mhm.
is a misperception that recently there have been some larger than normal increases in prices, some increases in retention rates. But when you look at the impact on the end policyholder, it has a de minimis impact. So let me put some numbers to that. National carriers, I don't have it right here. It's between 4 and 7%. They and many of the national carriers are at 2%. So if you have an increase in 2% of the premium that is paid, that's a very small amount at the end of the day. And here in Arkansas, because of the natural catastrophes, there's actually been a net underwriting gain. So insurance companies here in Arkansas have actually recovered more in reinsurance recoverables than they have paid for.
My final question here. How long is it? Okay, I've got two final questions. I always say final question, and final question never actually happens. My next question is, how long have you spent curating this knowledge in your career?
Oh, I mean, the reinsurance piece of it. So I've been in the business for 25 years. Probably most of my knowledge around reinsurance was gained through my time in government service as the deputy insurance commissioner in Arkansas and the insurance commissioner in Ohio. But I've only been on this job for since last October. But pretty quick study and have a great team that's able to help me get up to speed.
Hearing all of that, what would you do to mentor an emerging professional that wants to be like Lee?
Oh boy.
How do you create Lee 2.0?
Well, I mean, it starts with commitment to excellence and good work product and emphasizing that. Nothing is easy. So I believe you have to work harder than the next guy. And I think some people think you can get there through shortcuts, and it just happens. No, I mean, in my experience, maybe it's just me, but you have, number one, to coach them up to work harder. Second is give those people opportunities, give them real work, allow them to present to legislators, to regulators, to people in your office. So give them real work, and then identify people for them to talk to. And the greatest advice that I was ever given was, if you want to, so when I was insurance commissioner, my mentor was give him a shout out, Rick Campbell. He said, I want to be insurance commissioner for the state of Arkansas. I didn't get that job, but I got the Ohio job. He said, find three people that you can go and talk to and ask them, what would you do? What would be three things you would do if you wanted to be the insurance commissioner? He says, "And whatever they tell you to do it, because you're going to get different perspectives from different people. And so if you just get one nugget, one thing solid out of each of those people, that's valuable. And what I have found is that most people respond very positively and want to help that person. And the next thing you ask them is, who are three people you would talk to if you wanted to be insurance commissioner, and then or whatever job it is, and then do what they tell you to do. So those are a few tips. I'm sure there's more, but that's a good start.
That was more than I expected. I enjoyed that whole part of it. I think that's the whole podcast right there.
We could go on and on. You may not want to ask me too much.
Lee, thank you so much for your time today. I
Great.
look forward to hearing your session tomorrow.
Great. Thanks for having me.
My guest with me right now is Tanya Salvatore. You just presented an amazing session at Arkansas I-Day talking about cybersecurity and threat awareness. I don't know what I expected out of it when I came into it, but I got something totally different. And I think it's a very relevant conversation to have within the insurance industry. So I want to first ask you, in terms of what you do, let's introduce yourself for a second and then tell me, what does Cybercrime Division do?
All right. My name is Tanya Salvatore. I'm a special agent with the FBI. I supervise the cyber program for the state of Arkansas here. Thank you, Juan, for having me, and thank you for your kind comments on the presentation. That was definitely my hope, was to give something to everybody in the audience to take home and implement, not only in their personal lives, but also potentially at work, because the cyber threat, it is real and it touches everybody, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a student in college, or you're a big CEO in a big old company.
Yeah.
Our cyber division and FBI Cyber, we are the lead investigative agency to investigate, attribute, basically figure out who they are, dismantle, and go after cyber criminals, both here in the United States, but also globally. We work both criminal and national security threats. So that's us, but we work very collaboratively with federal partners, to include DHS's CISA, which is Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, as well as Department of Defense and National Security Agency, as well as state and local partners, private and public sectors, and our community. The cyber threat is something where everybody has a part to play. And we also work with international partners all the time, because unlike a lot of crimes, especially on the criminal level, our threat actors are not sitting many times in the United States. They're sitting in other countries. And so collaboratively, we're working with other countries on a continuous basis to track down these threat actors, and not only maybe arrest them and indict them, maybe extradite them to this country, but also to dismantle their infrastructure and to seize the things that mean most to them, like their money.
That is a really cool thing.
Thank you.
I'm in awe right now. How does this cyber division, or what you do, connect to the insurance industry?
It's twofold, but cyber specifically connects to the insurance industry, in that it's also a target. Our cyber threat actors are. I just talked to an individual that was in this conference here today, and he was laying out some numbers as far as how many times their firewalls on their company networks are being hit every single day. And it was in the hundreds. And when I say hit, these are cyber threat actors who are trying to find a weakness in their networks, to find a way into their networks, whether they are going through a port that may not be fortified, or maybe sending and spamming emails with malicious links that if you click on them, it's going to install a malware onto that network. And so it is every company in every industry and every segment is a potential target, to include insurance agencies, whether you're a broker or, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're sitting in a home office or a big, 100 employee company.
Yeah. We have a listener base of high school and college students, and maybe some pre-emerging professionals, if you will, that are still trying to figure out what they're going to be when they grow up. How did you get into this role with the FBI?
My goodness. Well, I've been an FBI agent for over 20 years. My dad was a state trooper, and growing up as a child, he would always tell me, "Hey, Tanya, you want to be an FBI agent because the state and locals do all the work, but the FBI takes all the credit." And it was just the joke growing up. So at a young age, I knew I wanted to be an FBI agent. But the more research I did, and it still holds true today, is the FBI does not hire people typically straight out of college to be FBI agents. So the average hire age of an FBI agent is around 30. And so anybody that's thinking about going into a career as an FBI agent, I would encourage them to pursue a career that they're interested in, something that they want to do that is, if maybe they don't get into the FBI, because it's a very small percentage of applicants that ultimately make it through the kind of long hiring process. But the FBI hires a ton of, engineers, accountants, lawyers, military, former law enforcement, linguists, computer experts, right? But I say that, but over the years, I've worked with agents who have come from very diverse backgrounds, whether it be a former math teacher or a contractor, doctors. The agent that works in our Bermuda office now, we have offices around the world. She was a veterinarian and she owned her own clinic before she applied to be an FBI agent. So as far as the backgrounds of agents that work in the FBI, it's very, very diverse. So somebody who is looking to potentially go into the FBI to be an FBI agent, obviously you need to get your college degree, but go do something that you can gain some expertise and some leadership experience, and then maybe look to apply to the FBI after that.
Awesome. At the Arkansas I-Day in the audience right now, we've got a couple of UCA, University of Central Arkansas students. I hear there is a collegiate hiring initiative with the FBI. What advice do you have for college students that are just hearing those words for the first time?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. That is something the FBI does that allows for individuals who have an interest in working for the FBI to apply for and look into more entry-level positions in the FBI. And so it's not going to feed you right into the special agent program, but they're entry level. They're jobs that are attainable for newly graduated applicants or students.
Amazing. Where can they find more information about that?
You can just go to fbijobs.gov. It has all the information there as well as other job opportunities. And then aside from fbijobs.gov for the collegiate hiring initiative opportunities, if an individual were to just go to fbi.gov, there's also tons of information there about the FBI, different cyber threats, and that there's links from fbi.gov even to fbijobs.gov if for some reason that URL is too long to remember.
Tanya, thank you so much for sitting down with me today, and thanks so much for being at Arkansas I-Day.
Oh, my pleasure.
A collegiate hiring experience? Boy, I wish that would have been available when I was in college. Having experienced the environment and having talked to so many of the attendees, there was an undertone that emerged during each of the sessions, fostering growth and engagement with young professionals. Each speaker acknowledged and addressed that the people in the room were there to learn, and they each had a responsibility to pass their knowledge and expertise down. During my own session, we talked about the generational makeup of the workplace, and I polled the audience and found that over 30% have more than 20 years in the insurance industry, 8% with over 30 years, and 5% with more than 40 years. That's a collective total of 43%. I was told not to say it, but I did anyways. This group of professionals should be retiring, or at least have their sights set on retirement. Not only to make room for emerging professionals, but because they deserve it. But for many to retire, they need to not only feel like they've made a difference, but trust that their successors can carry the torch. With that, I want to encourage you to approach every day as if it's your last day to impart wisdom, your last day to engage, your last day to inspire, to ensure that you are working with meaning. Toodles, everybody. Thanks for hanging out and listening to another Awkward Insurance Conversation.
If you haven't already, be sure to join the Awkward Insurance Facebook community. We have an amazing group of people on there.
And for more episodes, head over to the National Alliance website at scic.com. Now go forth and be awkward. Toodles!
That's awkward.